I'd just like to introduce Dr. Gray and ask him to come on up here, and we're grateful that he's willing to join us today. I think we're going to find that what he has to say is going to be very inspiring and factual as well. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Gray.
Thank you very much. Well, I've been hanging around meteorology, atmospheric science a long time. I got started in 1953, so I've been around over 50 years, and I've worked hard over that time, pretty much. I've forecast, I've taught at CSU. I've been at CSU only 46 years now. I don't know if I'll stay or not, but anyways, I've been appalled at what I have been hearing and seeing since the hot summer of 1988, when we had a very hot summer, and then Senator Gore brought Jim Hansen down from NASA to give these talk and show these slides. By the year 2010, cities are going to have temperatures above 100 in the summer, 3 or 4 times the rate they do now, and by 2030 it's going to get worse and worse. And I just wondered, I was appalled. How would anyone know that? I didn't know it. I've also been appalled at how Senator or Vice President Al Gore knows so much about it. I've been 50-some years working at it. How does he know so much more than I know? Anyways, I'm going to present some evidence. The trouble is this, the whole topic of human-induced global warming has to be decided on a technical level. Politics can't come in. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican. You may be a little more reluctant to agree that it's a crisis problem than if you're a Democrat. Well, how does that matter? Politics doesn't matter. We got to get to the facts. Now, I brought a few things down. I've given it to Madam I have written a little bit about Gore's movie and book here, which I thought half his facts were wrong in my view, the other half were exaggerated. I've also written some other things. I'm sort of on the side. Most of my colleagues, you see, don't agree with me because they haven't been around as long as me, and so much of the government funding, you see, in our with regard to climate or meteorology, atmospheric science, whatever you want to call it, to get research to study this, it's usually all from the federal government. When the federal government takes a position on something and you don't agree with it, you have trouble getting funding. I had some funding. I used to receive money from NOAA for 30 years or so. I've been studying tropical storms, making these forecasts. And as soon as the Clinton administration came in early '93, and Gore was our vice president and was in charge of the environmental part, I stopped getting grants, and I couldn't get anything. I've turned out about 13 straight times. Yet I was in the news a lot with my seasonal forecasts. I had a lot. I had graduated some marvelous students, and I've been working hard there. But these are the things that can happen. And there hasn't been, Gore has said, you've heard so much, the debate is over. All the scientists, 99% of the scientists agree this is an important problem. That's not so. The scientists I know, most of my older colleagues that I respect, we've been around a long time, are very skeptical of the whole thing. Many don't speak out as much or so, because there has been a slight McCarthyism going on this whole thing. If you don't play along, what do? Well, they first say you're a tool of the fossil fuel industry. Well, I've never received any money from coal companies or fossil fuel industry. And then well, you don't model. You're not a modern meteorologist. You don't run these big global models. So you're kind of, and then if you don't agree, well, you're just not a credible scientist. You used to be a credible scientist, but you're not anymore because you're not going around. Well, let me tell you, the science has not been settled. It hasn't been debated yet. If the government was really interested in getting to the bottom of this problem, are humans causing the climate to warm and so on, what would they do? You would fund some skeptics like me and others and say, okay, you go at it and fund the modelers and others, and you would all, and it'd be a give and take back and forth. But that's not the way they've done it because they know in a real scientific area they can't compete. Al Gore and the global warming types don't have the ammunition to compete, so the idea just cut off. Don't fund those that don't go along with it. We'll fund this and make it appear. Now, of course, when you're funded by the government, you've got to write papers and things, and you've got to do this. So the people that have been funded who have this point of view that humans are causing the globe to warm, they write a lot of papers. So Gore says, well, there's all these papers written, so many scientists agree with this, and there's very few scientists that are of the opposite point. Well, there are few scientists on the opposite point of view because they know they can't get funding if they don't pick a certain way of thinking. And I've been appalled at how politics has entered this whole thing. Now, among the meteorologists I respect, particularly, I've just come from a meeting last week in the Bahamas where we had a sort of a weather conference with all these big media weather forecasters from around the country, big New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, all these things. And it's amazing. The people that really forecast the weather, that must deal with it every day, and that have much experience with it, most of them are very skeptical. They don't follow the general line. Those that do follow it are usually modelers who have very little background in forecasting the weather. They're proud. I'm a scientist. I'm not a grubby weather forecaster. National Center of Atmospheric Research in Boulder, for many years they never even put weather maps up in their place. They're scientists. They're purists. They're above these mundane day-to-day weather or winter and summer things. So that's the way it is. It really is that way. I'm trying to write a book. I hope to get, I don't want to die yet until I write the book and get stuff off my chest on this.